at the time it felt like bad luck, but really
it turned out to be a good thing.
It turned out to be a good thing. You kind of turned it on its axis.
But maybe
this is the optimist in me again.
It is, but it is. Oh my God! Why do you always
that
come
is
back
annoying.
to the good?
You're right. That is annoying. It annoys me.
I am drinking a Manhattan.
What'd you use?
I'm rocking Uncle Nearest again, man.
I know. Your favorite.
It is. You know what it is? Like, you try to do different things, and it's one of those things where I did find it, I guess last year, maybe a year before, but whatever. It has become my go-to. Mm-hmm. And while there are other ones I like, it's like, you know what? I'm going to start using it as much as possible.
Yeah. It's great. It's really, really great.
Awesome. Nice and smooth,
It's good. Good.
What about you? What you rocking?
I am drinking a mezcal margarita made with El Silencio mezcal from Oaxaca. Nice. That's where they make mezcal,
Thank you for our fact of the day. I'd
like to go to Oaxaca.
Yeah, I just love so many places.
I'd love to go on like a mezcal tour. I think that'd be very cool.
I would love to go on to a block 2 blocks from here because I'm just tired of being in the house.
Well, yes, then there's that.
I want to take a vacation. We've been living in Hollywood.
2 miles already.
Like I literally just want to cross the hill.
That's funny.
I have got a topic of sorts. I don't really know where we're going to go with it, but I'm kind of curious.
Those are the best kind of topics, though, I feel like, when we just kind of start somewhere and end up somewhere else.
What do you think about luck?
About luck?
Yes.
What do you mean? What do I think about luck?
I need to clarify. To clarify. What role has luck played in your life? So...
Ooh.
And let me give some background. Like I was literally riding my bike this morning and I was thinking about, someone was talking about, listen to a podcast, they're talking about how luck has impacted their career. And it's like, oh, I got lucky. Because when people are so often super successful, that's what sometimes they're attributed to luck. But more often than not, they'll use phrases like hard work as if that is enough to achieve what you want. So how do you think luck has impacted your life, good or bad? Because I'm a person who believes there is a such thing as bad luck, even though it sounds like an oxymoron.
Yeah, that's funny. I never thought about that. Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm not sure I believe. No, I don't want to say I don't believe in luck because I think there have been things that have happened in my life that were absolutely related to luck.
Such as? Can you think of something off the top of your head? Sorry, I'm throwing you a curve, but
yeah, no, that's okay. Like. Like the night you and I met, that was lucky.
100%.
Because it was completely and totally random.
100%.
The other thing I think was lucky.
And we weren't being cute. Like it literally was someone's in town for a day or two and we met and then we stayed in touch and then
it was random. I mean, it was in a bar in New York City, of all places.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we stayed friends, and here we are.
Yeah.
So and years later, here we are. Yeah. But that's it. I get you. Right.
Yeah, and then like if I think about my career, I can't say luck played a part. I mean, I think I've worked really hard actually to build my career, and I think I've made choices along the way, and choices lead to certain things.
Or expectation of results.
Yeah. I no, but even when I make a choice, I'm not sure I expect a result. I just know this is the path I'm going to go down now, and I'm going to work hard to hopefully get to the result I want. It might happen, it might not, but I'm going to work towards it. And sometimes
optimism is annoying. Look, in reality, like seriously, I think people make decisions based on the expectation that if I do this, I guess that was the thing I found so startling in the podcast that I was listening to, which was Drinks with My Wife. It wasn't my podcast, our podcast. It was something else. But the thing is,
I like that you promoted ours while we're doing ours.
I didn't want to. Exactly. It's like calling out my own name during sex.
Yeah, you have exactly.
But what I was gonna say,
which has happened to time or two, by the way.
Sometimes I smack myself. Can we get back to the facts?
I'm not impressed with my performance.
No, seriously. Like I think so often people. Rather than, I can attach it to a career or I can attach it to a personal life. And I think so often, and this is going to sound real douchey, but the fact of the matter is we've had people express to us personally in our real life, not on this podcast, about our relationship. And the truth of the matter is,
and that we're lucky.
yeah, well, no. They'll talk about us being together. And there are two elements to that. There is hard work that has been put in to continue our relationship and try to be cognizant of the things it takes to make a happy relationship. But there's also what you mentioned. There's a luck factor. That I walked into a bar with a friend. I met you. We talked and joked. We exchanged business cards of all things, and stayed in touch.
Yeah.
And then year plus later, I'm moving to California, and then you're living in Northern. Like, there was so much luck. Like, how many people do you meet in your life where you go, oh man, she was mad cool, or he was mad cool, and you never exchange any information? So there's a luck element. Like, I would like to go, I could lie and go, oh man, I knew, but I didn't know anything. I just thought, man, she's fucking cool. Like, hey, what did I tell you? If you're ever in New York again, or if I'm ever in California, which I had never been at the time, we should have a drink or coffee or something. Yeah. It was the most benign thing, but there was luck involved. Something made me say that.
Well, the luck was in the meeting. The luck was in we were in the same place at the same time.
100%.
That was the luck factor. But anything after that was about effort. And so
fair enough.
Even like I know you said, like, even like when you're in a relationship, it's hard work and we work at it. I don't really feel like it's work. I gotta be honest with you.
I just want to say that like we should say.
It has a bit of a what'd you say?
Feels like something I should say. Like, it's hard work.
It's not. It's not at all. It requires effort, and it requires a level of consciousness,
right,
to keep it moving forward. But it never feels like hard work to me, and that has a negative connotation in my head, not in everybody's head. But work always feels a bit like there's something really hard about it, and you're enduring something that you don't want to be enduring.
You recognize luck, though. I mean, not about us. I just meant, like, getting back to that original thing, like that idea that luck has impacted your way, for good or for bad.
And so I definitely feel like that was luck. I totally agree with that. The other thing that I would say, there's been one other time in my life where I can go, yeah, that was pure luck. And that was when I first moved to California. And I moved to Northern California because I wanted to work for Apple. Like, that was a dream. Right. I wanted to live in California. I wanted to work for Apple. So I moved to Northern California. With no job. Yep.
Let's be clear. There was no promissory. There was no letter.
That's right. I had no job.
Nothing. Just showing up. I'm here, y'all.
I'm here.
Sorry.
Welcome me with open arms, please. It did not, but no. And I was temping at a bank, and I applied at Apple, and I actually started interviewing for a marketing job at Apple. And I interviewed for a lengthy period of time with many people, and at the same time, I was being offered a full-time job at the place where the bank that I was working at, planning like events and stuff like that, which sounded really nice. And I really, really liked those people a lot. And I decided to take that bank job, because the Apple job, it was between me and someone else. It wasn't guaranteed. This was a guarantee. They were just going to give it to me.
And this was not Apple as we know it today.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, it wasn't out of his garage, but it was still years back.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it still had a great, they were a great company, and I recognized that. But at the same time, I needed a job, right? I needed to have a full-time job. Anyway, I had been working at the bank for about a year, and I was like, I'm done. I came here with purpose. I wanted to work for Apple. I wanted to work in technology. I didn't want to work for a bank as much as I enjoyed it. And so I went onto their website, and the same exact job was there.
How much longer was it? A year?
A year.
Oh, wow.
It was a year later. And I was like, God, have they never taken this thing down from their website? And I submitted my resume, and it just so happened I submitted it to the recruiter that had recruited me the year prior was the same recruiter who got my resume, remembered me, literally called me the next morning and was like, come in. Because the person who had taken the job, who they had given the job to, decided that she wanted to move to another department within the company.
Oh, okay.
And so I literally met with one person within 3 days. I had that job at Apple.
Wow.
That felt lucky.
Well,
that confluence of events felt lucky.
Shouldn't you be able to say that though? And I didn't know all that, but shouldn't you be able to say that at the end of your story? Shouldn't you be able to say, I was so lucky?
100%.
Because you're correct. Yeah, you and I met in a hotel bar of all places in New York, and it was happenstance that we came across each other. But you're right. After that, we're not here because we got lucky.
Right.
Yeah, we're here because of the steps we took afterwards. But at the end of stories, you should be able to say, I got lucky. Or this is how I lucked out.
And maybe that's the thing. Maybe luck is a moment in time. All you need is for something to be happening in a nanosecond of a moment to create luck, one way or the other. Quite frankly.
See, I don't know that you're creating it, and that's what I mean about bad.
Or to experience.
That's what I mean about bad luck, because there's times where you can go, man, if this had just happened, things had just went this direction instead of the other direction. Things may have been so different.
Well, do you feel like there's been a time where you've experienced bad luck?
Oh.
Because
yes.
Really? All right,
yes.
Let's hear it. I'd like to hear it.
I don't know if it's bad luck. I say that only the reason
I've had bad luck at the blackjack table. But that might have been a bit skill.
And by the way, that
might have been about skill.
Your bad luck was our bad luck.
Yeah, that's right.
But no,
that's because you're my cooler.
I was thinking about when the reason I thought I want to include bad luck. This person who I was listening to, who was not on our podcast, was talking about how their career went one direction because of a decision, this luck they got, and they were very dismissive. Like, I got a little lucky. Like, no, you got mad lucky. Without going into it, I can think about when we lived here in Los Angeles previously. For those who don't know, we lived in Los Angeles. We moved back to New York. Now we're back in Los Angeles. It's awesome.
We traverse the country at will.
Sometimes you got to give footnotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, I worked for a great company that was on the come up, and they were doing well for themselves. And I was offered a job from a previous employer that I knew in New York, a previous producer who was starting a company. And I jumped. And remember, I came home and I was like, hey, I heard from Tim, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to give this a shot. And I could stay at this other company where who knows what my progress is going to be, because I'd had a few annoyances and setbacks. But this felt like a defining moment. Like, hey, this company is launching. He's got one employee. He's hiring me to do this part of development. I'm in. And then shit went sideways, and started having.
Was that bad luck?
Yeah, because it was something that was outside of my control. It was, there were economic problems.
Okay.
It was around 2008. It was just like all of a sudden there was two things happened. There were economic problems, and there was the WGA strike where people start losing their deals. And he had a small deal, and so once that company lost their deal,
right.
all of a sudden the person you got to do your development is fucking ass out.
Yeah.
Whereas the other company I worked for, they lost their deal, but you know what? They survived, thrived, and they're bigger now than ever.
Yeah.
And so you can call it bad luck, you can call it an unfortunate incident, but I made the best decision I could at the time. So it's not like that I look back on it with any level of regret, like, damn, why didn't I double down? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh no, I made my play. It did not pan out because of these circumstances that were outside of my control. And maybe that's what it is about luck. Maybe it's something that you don't do. Like, the only reason...
Yeah, well, I don't think it is something you
do. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's purely happenstance. Like, I made a decision and had the financial market not run into a bunch of issues, and then also the Writers Guild strike that happened. If that had not occurred all within those couple years, like who knows what it would be? Who knows what my path might have been? I am fine where I am, but I'm just saying like that personally, but professionally, my career would have been totally different. Like I think about the projects we were working on. They ended up being really big. They got lost and sold to another place. It was just like,
but think
life
about,
would have been different.
But that's interesting because if things had gone another way, and this is very hypothetical, of course, because we know what actually took place, but this idea of things beyond your control, I think, is really interesting because I do believe luck is not something you create.
That's why when people say you make your own luck, like go fuck yourself. Like that's the complete.
I don't.
Like,
Exactly.
I try to make my own luck every time we play craps in Vegas. Let me tell you, I never hit. Like what the fuck are you talking about? I make my own luck. 7-11.
But that what you were just talking about, which was a moment of bad luck, if things. As a result of that, if that had happened and then all of a sudden something positive took place, could you have then looked at it and have gone, at the time it felt like bad luck, but really
it turned out to be a good thing.
It turned out to be a good thing. You kind of turned it on its axis.
But maybe
this is the optimist in me again.
It is, but it is. Oh my God! Why do you always
that
come
is
back
annoying.
To the good?
You're right. That is annoying. It annoys me.
It is. You always, after everyone, you always go, and if the force was with you, Luke, it would have been awesome. No, yes, it would have changed everything, but I don't think, and by the way, it's not something that I linger on. It's just something that popped in my head because you think about it in terms of career. But no, I was talking about when I was on my bike and this person said that was the thing that popped in my head where I go, it's so easy to be dismissive of good luck and you never really make consideration of like how impactful, not everyone, but so often people do not talk about the impact that has. Like this singular moment where someone meets you, they come across you, and they shift your life. And it's not just about relationships or and not even just about professionalism. I think about the luck of I think about the people who have impacted my life, and I'm whether it's my mother's and my dad, my mother, my grandmother, my other members of my family. I think about the luck that I took. A high school teacher that I had, who was supposed to be gone, we were told, for the entire year because she was on maternity leave, and she came back in the middle of the year, and how that impacted my life. Suddenly this woman comes back. Miss Judy, how you doing? I know you listen to the show. But Miss Judy comes back, and all of a sudden she's back from maternity leave, and she helped change the way I thought about things, or she embraced the way I thought about things. And so sometimes
so did you feel lucky that she came back?
I do, because
gotcha.
it put me in a position where, for a person who was so bitter about things or felt like no one was challenging, suddenly I was around someone who was not only going to challenge but elevate. There is that luck, but I think life is a series of those things where it's like something can happen out, and my goodness, I feel like Tony Robbins. I need a fucking tight t-shirt. Oh, I do have on a tight t-shirt. I have a tight t-shirt. My Adam's apple isn't as big as his, but that idea, I'm just rambling about Tony Robbins.
I don't even know what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is, I think life so often is trying to put yourself in the best position possible, and then sometimes something totally outside of your control happens, and then you make the most of it or make the best of it. So even when you've had bad luck, you make the best of it. Like when I think about that business.
Well, if you're a certain type of person, sure.
I try, and by the way, I am not an overly positive person, but when I speak about that situation that happened with a previous company I worked for, I came home, I told you what had happened, that we were going under and I was being let go, and we began to make the best of it and began to go, well, what are our options here? We can continue to stay here, and that eventually led to us moving back to New York. It was not an impetus, but it was just like, oh, well, now that gives us the freedom to do this.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what I was saying earlier about just this idea of luck. For me, luck is something that comes your way, right? You have no control over
None.
it. And then what you do have control over is what you do with that
Right.
once it takes place. Because even the example that I gave, where I felt like, when I went back and looked for, and decided, okay, I came here with purpose,
Right.
and I really want to work for Apple. And it was luck that in that moment in time, I went and on their website there it was, and I submitted my resume, and it just so happened the same
was the same
exact
person.
recruiter,
Right.
and like all of that was luck. But I still had to get through an interview.
100%. And you had to nail the job. Like
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And so I don't think you have control over luck, but I think you absolutely have control over what takes place after that, whether it's good luck or whether it's bad luck.
Right.
And like today, I was watching that 30 for 30 with Dennis Rodman, Dennis Rodman 30 for 30, which is amazing, by the way. If anybody hasn't seen it, watch it. He's phenomenal. I really love Dennis Rodman. I loved him when he was a player with the Bulls, and I just think
He's a fascinating creature.
Yeah, anyway,
Person.
And
Sorry, I didn't
when
mean to
you
make it like
hear when you hear his story about what took place and just the hardships that he had as a young person, and then he gets randomly, because I think this might be a component of it, randomly he has a scout from a college in Oklahoma that happens to be at the rec center where he's
watching
playing and watching, and he's like, oh my god, this dude
who's this guy in
amazing
Texas.
Yeah, exactly. And like that is luck.
Yeah.
And then what did he do with that?
He did the most of it. You're right.
He made the most of it, and he worked really hard, and he became the phenomenal player that he was.
And maybe, as I was passing through when you were watching, like that's the other thing that was fascinating about that story and that doing with luck. This is one of the things that annoys me, and I guess this is what I was listening to when I was listening to that podcast. One of the bill of goods that we get sold is that hard work pays off.
Or that it's enough, right?
It's bullshit. Yeah. It's bullshit. It's like just because you're working hard and smartly and trying to make all the right decisions or making good decisions, taking risks, all those different things, it doesn't mean things are going to work out professionally or personally. It just doesn't mean it. Because think about that thing about Dennis Rodman. He had done everything wrong. He had never even played high school. He had never completed a season of basketball in his life. And what does he get arrested for stealing like watches and shit? Like this is the person who does everything wrong. You know what I mean? Yet somehow when that opportunity presented itself, he took it and ran. And that's not to say, but think about how different things may have been, because based on his experiences, it doesn't sound like he was in a habit of making good decisions. So he might have even made some bad decisions after he got that lucky thing. It's not like it spun him around. But it just always amazes me when you ask or you hear these stories, these biopics or things where they act like hard work, determination, focus. That's all you need. Shut the fuck up. Like you need luck. You need luck. You need someone to... Depending on what it is, you need to come. Even if it's the Steve's meeting for Apple, it's like you need two people to come. You need someone to come across someone or come across in a circumstance that will change your life. Now, what you do with that, can be changing. But my thing is that I don't want people to think that here I go being Tony Robbins again. Like I hate when you hear people talking about success and failure. I don't want people to think that if you're not successful, that you're somehow not working hard enough, or you're not putting in enough time. And the Malcolm Gladwell thing that I love, the 10,000 hours. Oh no, that's a great thing. But you think everyone who puts 10,000 hours into something succeeds on that level, personally or professionally? Like there is someone going through a divorce right now or sitting split up right now who met the way we met, who have similar interests, who get along, who kids like and love each other, and it just didn't fucking work out. It's working hard is not always going to yield the result that you necessarily want or that it's supposed to be.
Maybe a part of it too is maybe the factor that needs to be included is choices.
Now you got me curious.
In other words, like you said, excuse me. Sorry.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Maybe because this idea of working hard, if you've If you had a moment of luck,
Okay.
and as a result of that, you made a choice and you worked hard based on that choice,
Okay.
but it didn't work out for you, is that a contributing factor? In
I'm
other
not sure I
words,
understand.
because you talked about working hard, you could work hard and something still not work out for you.
It's still not yield the results you want.
But does choice become a factor? In other words, how long do you have to be working hard and it not working out for you before you look at it and go, now I need to choose something else and I need to create a different trajectory for myself.
Oh,
so that maybe all of that can shift.
I think that may be circumstance dependent, like depending on what we're specifically trying to achieve. So in terms of a relationship, like
I was thinking about work more than that.
no,
but-
let's shit on our own love. Like seriously, like if you like
No need.
at some point in time where you start going, look, I've done this and I've done that. At some point in time you might go, I've done everything. Now you get to make that decision. It's only on retrospect where you go, man, maybe I cut out too soon. You know what I mean? But if you feel like you're truly giving it your all and getting some good perspective on things, trying different things, and it's not working out, at some point in time, you it's okay to kind of step away. And I think that's personal and professional. I just chose personal because that way it wouldn't seem like this was like only talking about work stuff. Because I do think that thing. I think there are I've had some failed personal relationships. At some point, I just had to let go. And friendships. I'm not talking about dating. I'm talking about friendships where you go, look, I tried this, I tried that. Me and dude, after all these years, it's still, he's still a pain in the ass, or he's this, or I'm a pain in the ass. We don't really vibe. After all these years, at some point in time, you just start going.
But I think I see that as being a bit different from what we were talking about, because I'm attributing.
That's possible. We're drinking.
I'm attributing it to luck. I'm talking about luck in particular. So, and that's why I said professionally. So let's just talk about it from a professional perspective, because then there's not another component to it, which is another person.
Okay.
Like a relationship. So if we talk about luck at work, and you get lucky in that, again, a job comes your way or whatever, or circumstances like what happened to me, and you feel like I'm working hard, I'm doing everything I can, and yet I'm not achieving anything from this. How does choice and your choices throughout that process play into it? Because again, if you've had the luck and you've then worked hard, but things aren't happening for you, where does choice play into that as well? And maybe I don't know. It's a really genuine question, because I'm not sure.
In the example that I used, I felt like I was trying and I was being forthright in making my intentions and goals known. And I got an opportunity to work for a writer who fucking screwed me over, and asking one of the partners to come in and review my script, tell me what I'm doing right. So I'm saying,
right.
At some point in time, I started going.
You made the choice, and
I made the choice. So choice definitely plays a big part in it. But I think, not that creating a challenge on this, I think choice is a lot easier. It's a lot easier, it seems, for someone to go, you know what? I just was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out of that place and I'm gone. And then my life was never the same. They don't always point out how much luck may have played into that. Choices, by the way, it's what we always taught our kids. It's like a life with no choices is not a life. Like, you better have some fucking choices, and whether it's school or other stuff. Like, if you're not doing your best, you're going to have less choices. Suddenly you're going to fucking Hackensack Community College instead of going to somewhere that might elevate you. Now, you can go to Hackensack, and then if you decide I'm going to do A, B, and C, you can pursue that.
Do they have a community college in Hackensack?
No, but it just works. Okay. And I feel like we just watched, Brewster's Millions, and he played for
Brewster's Millions.
He worked for the Hackensack. He played for the Hackensack Bulls.
We actually did watch that recently.
It's Richard Pryor, man. I watch anything. Come on. So, but this is the thing. Like, give us. I'm curious. I'm fascinated with luck. Good. Do you people out there? Do you believe in bad luck? Because I know it's become this PC thing. People go, it's an oxymoron. Fuck them because they've studied too much. And how has luck impacted your life? You know what I mean?
And examples. I'd love for somebody to share a time where they've experienced good luck.
Exactly. Other than meeting
Because
me in real life.
I'm optimistic and I want to hear about good luck stories.
Well, the good thing is that people will always be, no matter how shitty it is, you're going to find a way to make it positive.
Well, yeah, that's social media.
Well, and also, yeah.
Everything on social media, unless it's political,
Like,
people
oh my
project
God, you met
positive.
Terrence. He's an asshole. But you know what? He's so sweet.
Yeah.
Like, you always
No,
find a spin.
seriously, but I would love to hear people's good luck stories.
It is uplifting.
Yeah,
Especially in this
absolutely.
Crazy
yeah.
times. You need to hear some fucking happenstance where you go, man, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's a good luck story.
Word.
Dennis Rodman had one. Thanks for joining Drinks with My Wife. Please be sure to click the subscribe button and rate us on Apple Podcast and Spotify.